This week, I took a deep dive into the Alabama Supreme Court ruling and what it could mean for the future of IVF and what it could mean for New Mexico. This might be a long video, but stay with me, it is very important. So last week, the Alabama Supreme Court ruled in the case that involved a fertility clinic and some frozen embryos. These embryos were dropped and then had to be rendered non-viable. The couple who couldn't use these embryos sued the clinic, not just for breaking their property, but also for wrongful death. This case made its way through the lower courts and ended up in the Alabama Supreme Court. With a 7-2 ruling, the court cited that a frozen embryo has the same right as a child under the law. I'm going to say that again. The same test tube embryos that are created through in vitro fertilization, or IVF, have the same rights as a child under the law. This is the first time that any state Supreme Court has ruled in favor of what is known as fetal personhood, which is basically the idea that life begins at the moment of conception. What this means for IVF. Doctors, embryologists who work in fertility clinics would be required by Alabama law to ignore best practices and their own scientific analysis of embryo viability. As it is, IVF requires time, an intense medication prep, and invasive procedure for egg extraction and embryo transfer. Even then, under the best scientific practices, the IVF round may end in miscarriage. Yet, under the already challenges of IVF, the Alabama Supreme Court has decided, issuing a blatantly religious opinion, that they know better than doctors and patients, and that no embryo should be discarded. In short, fertility patients should undergo round and round of possibly doomed IVF procedures and pay tens of thousands of dollars for possible rounds of miscarriage and heartbreak. All of this suffering is at the service of asserting embryonic rights at the expense of people who want to be pregnant. It's no wonder that IVF clinics have shut down in Alabama. Again, there's no scientific basis to back up fetal personhood, just as there is no scientific basis to make pregnant people wait until an ectopic pregnancy is about to kill them to get a life-saving abortion. In this post-Roe age, pregnant people's rights are disregarded. And if you've been following us or any progressive organization that speaks on issues of bodily autonomy, reproductive rights, health, or justice, you know where this is coming from. Fucking Christian nationalists. These are folks who run in the same fucking circles with people who are anti-abortion, anti-trans, gunslinging, election deniers, who have been indoctrinating people with their extremist views for decades. These are the same people who have pushed this idea of fetal personhood to defend full abortion bans without any exceptions. This idea threatens a wide range of reproductive healthcare services, including common forms of contraceptives, IVF, and medical treatment for pregnant people. Emergency contraception or hormonal contraception are also at risk. It has just happened in Alabama, and other states will attempt to imitate what is happening. Just like Texas's SB 8 abortion ban went into place, other red states followed. To bring it further into perspective, Donald Trump, for some reason, has many allies in the Christian nationalist groups, and they've got a master plan. Trump and other GOP legislators and active running candidates have already said that they will get rid of abortion using the Comstock Act, which has been in the books since the fucking 1800s. That's going to endanger everything else. To further pile on, 125 House Republicans have backed a life at contraception bill without any IVF exceptions that was introduced into the U.S. House in January. This is the second time this kind of bill has been introduced at the federal level. The first time we had a bill like this, previous Congressional District 2 Representative Yvette Harrell was a co-sponsor. While she did recently state that she supports access to IVF, in an Exos article, we did see that Senate GOP campaign arm has been urging candidates to back IVF after the Alabama State Court ruling so they can stay relevant. And we also love our receipts, so we've taken count of the amount of times Harrell has promised to protect life. Thankfully, we have Gabe Vasquez in that seat now, but since Harrell is running again, we're going to need everyone that resides in CD2 to get out and vote so we can keep her out. Anyway, back to the topic of fetal personhood. If this idea that an embryo is a person becomes accepted in higher courts, or even our Supreme Court, we're fucked, and not in a good way. A future with no abortion rights under any circumstances, no access to most birth control, and no access to fertility treatments. I promise you, we're not being hysterical. These people are very serious about following through with their horrifying plans. They did it with Roe, and they'll do it to the rest of our reproductive health care. It's going to affect all of us unless you are a cis white Christian male. And I feel so stupid for saying this because I hate the Dem frontrunner Biden, and I'm not even going to talk anymore about the GOP side, but there are more of us than there are of them, and we need to pay attention. If you're not already registered to vote, ¿qué chingados esperas? In other words, what the fuck are you waiting for? And if you are, for fuck's sakes, be ready to vote out every Republican in this damn state and this damn country. Because even if New Mexico is a state that honors every person's decisions over their own bodies, what started in Alabama will become our national reality.